Hello and welcome to Gori, the birthplace of Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. He was born Ioseb Jughashvili in 1874 here in Georgia, then a part of the Russian Empire. He later took the name Stalin because it sounded more Russian, and it means man of steel. To some people, Stalin was a hero. To others, he was a dictator. Here in Gori, there's a museum dedicated to his memory. This is the house where Stalin was born and spent his early childhood. The family lived in the room on the left. The room on the right was occupied by their landlord. His father was a shoemaker and he had a workshop here in the basement. I guess Stalin had other career plans.
The house is enshrined within this grand structure, presumably to protect it from the elements and preserve Stalin's memory. On the ceiling you can still see the hammer and sickle markings of the Soviet Union.
And here's the man himself, looking quite relaxed and proud of himself. There used to be a huge statue in the centre of town, but they pulled it down in 2010.
The main museum is located inside this Stalinist Gothic residence. The cost of entry is 15 lari, which is about £4, and includes a tour in English. Most of the signs are in Georgian and Russian, so it's a good idea to take the tour and really learn about the history. As a teenager, Stalin moved to Tbilisi and began studying to be a priest. However, his priorities changed and he became fascinated by the writings of several pro-revolutionary authors and was particularly taken by Karl Marx. He joined the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party, which later split to become the Bolsheviks, led by one Vladimir Lenin. Stalin began printing illegal propaganda material in a secret printing house in Tbilisi. The room could only be accessed by climbing down a well and along a tunnel. These leaflets were then distributed across neighbouring countries to plant the idea of revolution into people's heads. The museum chronicles his life, from his misspent youth, where he was arrested multiple times for promoting his Marxist revolutionary values, to his relationship with Lenin and eventual crowning as Soviet leader. There's also a section about World War II, during which Stalin signed a non-aggression pact with Nazi Germany. Hitler later double-crossed him and invaded the Soviet Union, but eventually the Red Army pushed the Germans all the way back across Europe, effectively ending the war. The museum contains many of his personal belongings, such as his china, uniform and personal chess set. There are also many busts of his head, portraits and rugs bearing his face. He certainly seemed to like the attention. It was interesting seeing Stalin's furniture and room layout from his first office in the Kremlin. Just imagining the decisions he made whilst sitting on that chair. You can also see one of the 12 casts of his death mask, taken shortly after his death. It's set in its own room, surrounded by white pillars, which looks like some sort of temple with a shrine at its centre.
And here is Stalin's personal train carriage. He didn't really like to fly, so he tried to go places by train instead. So this is his personal carriage, and it's actually bulletproof as well.
The train is quite luxurious and has a bedroom, an office and a large meeting room. It even has its own primitive air conditioner. And I'm sure he spent many hours here, plotting world domination. People do their best thinking when they're on the toilet. Lastly, we were taken to a small room under the stairs. Here, our guide briefly mentioned the darker side of Stalin, including the Gulag and political repression. The museum prefers to paint a more positive picture of the Man of Steel.
Well, that's it from the Stalin Museum and from Gori. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.